Hey yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the TJAY podcast, only on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. A3 Media. How is everyone doing today? How are you doing today? For that matter, happy days. I don't even know. Wednesday. Yeah, it's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I know I haven't been active in a while. There's been a lot of stuff I've been up to, and yeah, I'm not going to share everything, but there are some things that have been happening in the last couple weeks. Um, I will be explaining that probably in a future podcast later on, maybe on Friday, just because, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that I'm focusing on. There's a lot of stuff I'm working on, and yeah, it's just hard to explain. I gotta make a full podcast about that. But in any event, welcome to the show. Hope you guys are having a good day. If you guys are new, make sure you like and follow on Spotify, Google Podcasts, A3 Media. Subscribe on there, where you can get podcasts like mine, First Time, Long Time, which is another podcast that my friend is doing, and so much more. So, actually, today I am interviewing a singer named Robby Johnson, and he's just entering the room. So, here's what we're going to do. Let's take a break. I'll be back. I'm gonna press. We're gonna do this whole thing. We're gonna press record, and then so on and so forth. So yeah, let's take a quick little break. We'll be back in just a few moments. All right, I am interviewing a Nashville-based singer-songwriter, Robby Johnson, who has over 10 million views on YouTube and is approaching 8 million streams, which I have never seen a number like that before. I mean, the only video that actually hit a million for me was a TikTok video, and that was just something I came off the top of my head. But anyways, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Hi, TJ. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I mean, I've been at it for a while, so I can understand. It's not like I released something yesterday and I'm at 8 million streams and 10 million views, on. So I've started a few years back. So it's all the total of everything adds up to the big numbers. But I mean, it looks like a big number, but when you look at the big stars, major artists, that's nothing.
Well, how long did it take for a video to hit 10 million views or 10 and to get 8 million streams? How long did that with your music, that is?
Well, my music video, I mean, music videos, I have some music videos that are 3 million views. I don't have anyone that's 10 million, but all of them combined adds up to about maybe a little more than 10 million. But like my first release, my first single, South of Me, and my first music video that I released as an indie, it got to 3 million views in about, I would say, a year and a half. It went viral, so it went pretty fast.
How did that make you feel for something like that to go viral? Like, was it a
It's
shell shock?
yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, the thing is, you don't decide, we don't decide anything. It's people that just, like it, they share it, they watch it over and over again, and it's part of their routine, every day they log, they go on YouTube and they watch the video. And so, I just did the song, made the music video with a good friend, Ryan Smith. The guy's amazing. He's worked with Jason Aldean, Avril Lavigne, Eminem. Man, he's a really really good director, and we just did a nice music video, and people loved it. And yeah, it went viral, and we just release it and just hope that people connects with it, and that's what happened for this one.
Isn't that amazing though? Like with technology today, you could just post anything on YouTube, Spotify, or TikTok, and you could hit like a million views, 3 million views, or 10 million views off of whether it's a song or the Haktua girl, for example. And you become instantly famous and get a lot of recognition. Like, has that happened to you in your personal life? If you're walking around and then someone said, "Hey, I saw your music video," has that ever happened?
Oh yeah, that happens. And it's funny, and I like it when people stop me and or ask for a selfie or an autograph or something like that. I prefer that because sometimes you go to the grocery store and you have a list and you're hurrying up, and it's not you don't want to talk to nobody. It's just that you're busy doing something, and I'm not. you know, out there just trying to look if someone recognizes me. I'm that kind of guy. So I rather have them stop me and, hey, you're Robby. I love your video and all that. Oh, can I take a picture? Yeah, of course. And how are you doing? And, I like that rather than them just not saying anything, then going back home on social media and say, oh, Robby, he looks, like he doesn't want to talk to anybody. And like he I don't know. He looked mean. I don't know what, but it happened once. I was just hurrying up. I had to grab something for dinner that, and, an ingredient that's missing. And you just hurry up to the grocery store and just in and out. And you're fat and it's fast. And someone recognized you and they're like, oh, well, he was in a hurry and he didn't want to, come on. Just, I love it when people just stop me. And, it's cool because that's why we do this. It's because we're hoping that the music resonates with people and that they connect with it and it's part of their lives, a soundtrack to their lives. So to know it's gratifying. So it's fun to know it.
Yeah, no, I get that a lot. I mean, so when it comes to working on the radio, people do know my voice and they know who I am. I mean, I'm just a producer. Like some people will, they'll point out like, "Hey, I heard your voice. Is that you?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." But like when it comes to a grocery store, which I told you before, I work in a grocery, like I hate when people stop me or recognize me because like I don't want to think like, "Oh, look at this guy. He's just like he probably got fired for saying something stupid." And no, I'm like, no, it's not the case. It's just, I work two jobs. That's what I do.
Yeah, I totally get it. I mean, I totally get it. It's you don't want people to think that you're not successful at what you're doing and you have to work a second job and all that. It's just there are different realities for different jobs and it's a passion. And radio, I know that it's kind of, being an artist, a lot of artists out there have other jobs.
Yeah,
Of course, because we're not all like the majors that do a show and pocket $500,000 in one show. Yeah, net in their pocket. We're not all at that level, and to get, I mean, under that level, oftentimes it's money you invest. You don't
right.
really make any money when you're out there on tour, depending on what kind of tour and what you're doing. There sometimes you just break even, and it's just that you've grown, you've met a lot of fans, and that's what you love doing. But it's not to be rich. A lot of artists out there they're not rich. They do it, from passion, and they have to have another job.
That's what my cousin does. So he scores movies in Malibu or LA for that matter. But
Oh,
anyway, he was telling me like I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it because it's something I love to do. And he said that's the problem with entertainment. Everyone who works in entertainment, regular people think we make, $1 million or like not even a million, but like we make
yeah,
pretty good. But he said the money comes later on if you keep sticking with it and continuing with
yeah.
your. And that's one thing I like about entertainment. Like I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it because it's something I love to do.
Oh yeah, totally. And I think, people that get into it just to make money, I don't think they're the ones that become huge stars. I think it's the ones that do it, for, because they're passionate about it and they're willing to do everything, to just get in front of people and do what they want to do. And it blows up, and next thing you know, they have a $10 million home. But it wasn't because that was the goal. It's because the goal was to touch people and create something that people relate to and connect with, either
Yeah,
being movies or music or whatnot. But it's kind of the same. It's creating something that never existed and hoping that people will connect.
yeah, no, definitely. Now I read that your grandparents were a big inspiration for you, and you wrote a song for them too.
Yeah, more than you
How did
think. Yeah.
how did that come about? What was the inspiration behind your grandmother and grandfather?
Well, what's funny with me is, when I write music, I just sit down and just fool around with some chord progressions, and then I just let it out. And that's how it happens. And sometimes it's only halfway through the song, and I'm like, oh, okay. So this is about, oh, it's about me, and my grandparents and yeah, okay. And I just go with it. I don't fight it. Because every time you know, the hit songwriters in on Music Row, some of them, they have a book of hooks, and they just sit down with two other guys and two other songwriters, girl or guy, and they're like, oh, I have this idea, and then they just write it in less than 3 hours. Um, I don't work that way. I really just let it out, and I'm not fighting. I'm letting the song what it wants to be, and it's funny because sometimes when you fight it, it the song does feels like it's not meant to be. So I had this happen to me for I have a Christmas song, and it's funny because it came to me in a dream, and I started writing the song. I had the hook, the beginning of the first verse and all that. And when I started writing it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna make it about a, a guy and a girl, kissing under the mistletoe. It's snow outside. It's a white Christmas, blah blah blah. I wrote the song, and I even got the track done for the song. And then I was playing, I was singing in the car to the track. I was like, oh, this doesn't work. The verses were fine, but the chorus, it just didn't make any sense. I'm like, man, I just did an okay song, and I was so upset. And then went to sleep, woke up the next morning with the new chorus. I was singing the new chorus, the new hook of the chorus when I woke up, and I'm like, oh my God, and everything fell into place. The song wanted to be about Santa, and I was fighting it, and it wasn't working. And now that I just, okay, it's about Santa. So let's make it about Santa. And everything worked out, and it feels like it's meant to be. Whereas before, it was a cool song. I mean, it was good, but it just felt like, I don't think the world needs this. It's I don't know. So when you sometimes when you fight it, it's the result isn't good. When you try to fabricate something, and I say this to artists, that start, and I often say it to myself, so remind it to myself that don't try to fabricate something. Just be you, and find your sound, and express what you want to express. Maybe you think your country, but what you can really give to the world is rock, or it's pop or whatnot, or blues or folk, Americana. I don't know, but just let it out and let it be what it wants to be. And if people love it, great. And it doesn't mean that it's going to go viral and people are all going, you're going to become a huge star, but at least it's what you love doing, rather than fabricate something. Oftentimes people will feel it. They will, feel that it's not authentic. So it's not people are not gonna relate to it because it feels too fabricated, and it's not gonna go anywhere. And then you're gonna hate it because you're not you're not totally behind the music. It's not really you. So it's yeah, you don't want to have a song that goes viral and have to sing it night after night and you hate it. It's like, it's not me. Yeah. So yeah, just be you, just let it out. And for my song we were talking about, more than you think. Yeah, so halfway through, like, oh, this is about, my grandparents, huge influence on me. My dad left when I was 5, abandoned us, and I had a tough upbringing. And my grandparents would work multiple jobs. They would send money, clothing, shoes, everything. And we were still, in poverty. So imagine if they weren't there, it would have been even worse. And also, we would go there every summer. I would spend my summers at their place, and also the holidays, and so, and the song is about, sometimes you're not actively teaching anything to kids, but they look up to you. And that's what the song is about. You know, you might think you showed me just a few little things, but you did more than you think. And that's the case for my grandparents. My grandfather Leo looked up to him and picked up many things from him. And from my grandma, she was an entertainer. She was the center of attention. So I picked up a lot, and I'm happy that the song came about. And what's so funny, I had the song for a long time, and I'm releasing a new song every 6 to 8 weeks. I've got a new one coming up, Road I'm on November 8th. And this one, I was looking at the calendar, is like, okay, so I should release it around, so let's say a Friday, so September 6th. And I look at the calendar, like, oh my God, it's National Grandparents Day on September 8th, on that Sunday. Wow, what a coincidence. And it wasn't planned, but I'm so happy that it happened that way. And the song got more exposure and all that. So I'm really happy, and people connect to the song. Have a lot of people saying that it hit right in the right place.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, so I did the same thing. Like my parents never abandoned me. Like never had a parent that did that. But I would spend every summer up at my grandmother's, and then of course holidays as well. And when she was gone, it kind of like when summer comes along, and I go up to the mountain house where we have it's a family house up there.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's a hole because I know she's not there, and it sounds stupid to say because she's been gone since 2014, but like like you just still feel that hole in that house that you're never going
Oh
to see,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. And I mean, I've lost them a long time ago, and I was pretty young, and they were gone before I ever, started singing really. So they'd be surprised. I don't know if I'm hoping they can see me. And but yeah, it's a way to say thank you.
Yeah, I remember reading that you said you wish they could see what you
Yeah.
become.
Yeah, yeah, because it's a big part because of them. Huge part because of them.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I do believe that there are higher powers watching us, or our family members guiding us through these things because I mean, like you said, there could be signs that could happen. I mean, your videos went viral. Like that could be a sign of your grandparents saying, all right, we're going to get you to this point and this is where you're at right now because this is what you want to do.
Yeah, totally. And like I was saying, a lot of my songs, I don't try and fabricate them or force them. I just let them out. So who knows where the inspiration and the words come from, So it's weird, and sometimes it feels like, past and future are all, you know, mixed up, where it's a weird feeling that the song, as you're crafting the song, it feels as if the end result already exists, and you're just trying to find it, but it already exists. It's so weird, that feeling, because sometimes you will write, like a sentence, and the words you're using, it's not the finished song, but it brings you to what needs to be there, you know.
Right.
So it's such a weird feeling. And sometimes my Christmas song, I feel I didn't write the song, it just wrote itself. And it's crazy. I was talking, you know with Scott about this, and that song, what's crazy is I didn't want to write, I wasn't planning on writing a Christmas song, but that day I was upset. And, because my family has made lots of sacrifice for the music career and everything. And I felt, as if I was letting them down because I didn't write that massive hit that solves every, financial, worries and everything. and I felt as if I had let them down. And that's how I went to bed. And I woke up with this gift of this song. And I believe so much in this song. And it's weird because the song is about, wanting a gift, a specific gift from Santa without ever saying what the gift is, but it's actually the song. So it's so weird how this all unfolded. It's really when you think about it, it's really weird that I just go to bed, wishing for something, and I wake up with this amazing gift, and it's a Christmas song. And Christmas songs come back every year. So, which, sometimes you have someone writes a Christmas song, and it's only 20 years later that it kicks off and it becomes a classic. And the family, every year you get revenues from the song. And so yeah, I just hope that's what happens for this song.
And usually that's what happens with like a lot of songs too. Like take a look at I don't know, do you ever watch Netflix at all?
Yeah, occasionally, but I don't have much time. I try to steer away because growing up, all we had was TV and movies and music and all that, and would spend a whole lot of time in front of a screen. So I could easily be doing that 24/7.
Right. Well, what I was getting at, there's a
Yeah.
Kate Bush had a song "Running Up That Hill" that was not popular in the '80s, but then when Stranger Things came out, I guess 30, 40, probably 30 years later, it's now the most popular song because of that show.
Wow.
So, I mean, it could happen to you in a couple days. It could happen to you in 3 years. But the fact is, you're still making music, and you already have videos that have gone viral. So it's already working for you in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, we never know. We never know. And I mean, I often say we're not the stars of the show, it's the people. They make it happen. I mean, I can be on a stage, screaming and singing and dancing and doing whatever, but if people don't show up, I mean, it's not a career, and it's not, it doesn't make me a star. It's the people that pay to come and see me, perform live and purchase the albums, or make playlists with my music in them, and stream it, share it, and they make it happen.
And wasn't it true that Garth Brooks saw you and said something really nice about you? He said you were like Kenny Chesney in a way.
No. No, it's I met him at the 50th CMA Awards. I was there. And I was, on the floor. I was third row. And it's not by merit. It's because Brett Eldridge was supposed to be sitting there, but he went to the Cubs series. It was a World Series of the Cubs, and he's a Cubs fan. So he was there, and there was an empty seat. And I know someone there, she gave me the seat, and I was sitting there right next to Darius Rucker and Tanya Tucker. I mean, it was insane. And during a commercial break, Garth was like, I don't know, 8 feet away from me. So I just got up during a commercial break. Everybody gets up during commercial breaks. And I just walked up to him. I bowed to Trisha. And then he got up, took off his hat, and he shook my hand for a minute and a half. And I just had the opportunity to tell him, you're the reason I'm in Nashville, song, the dance, and everything. And he was like, oh, wow, cool. But then he started asking me question, how's your family? Do you have a family? Do you have kids? And how are they doing, with you moving to Nashville and all that? Are they okay? You have good schools, it's not, sometimes you meet an artist and they just pull out a Sharpie. It's like, hey, where do you want me to sign? It wasn't that. It really wasn't that. And he was really interested. What a great moment. And yeah, so for a minute and a half, shaking my hand, and then just gave me a pat, in the back, and said, hang in there, kid, it's going to happen, just hang in there, it is what it is, it's so easy to screw up and just abandon. Every day you will get the world life will send you signals that you should just quit. And it's crazy. Every day it happens. I remember being, sitting on my couch one point and like, okay, life is telling me I should just quit. I should just stop right now. And a few months later, I was on the Late Show performing my song, my first single. So you never know. You just got to hang in there, and it might happen. You don't know. You don't decide. Well, you decide to stay or not, but you don't decide if it turns to be huge, or if people connect with it or not. You don't decide that.
That's what I was thinking like a few like weeks ago. Like, do I stop like working on the radio because I just like I guess I was getting burned out and just didn't feel like I was making anything of myself. And then like I get this opportunity like, a week ago, and I'm just like, now I know there was a purpose. It was something was telling me to stay. Something was telling me to keep going because it's just like you said, like it happened to you too, and
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, and sometimes your voice inside of you will tell you you should just quit. This is too much. And but you got to be there's always another voice. It's more your negative side sometimes that's trying to bring you down a little bit. There's always that little tiny voice that's saying just wait a little bit. Just keep going at it. I mean, Michael Jordan never quit. That's why he was so good. If he had quit, I mean, he would have never been that good. You just keep practicing, keep doing it. Just put the hours, and and that's how it's going to happen. If you come up with something totally original that nobody's heard before, or when you talk, like for you, when every time you interact, people they feel your passion, they feel, you make them feel good and all that, they're going to want to, listen to the podcast and all that, and find out, hear the great stories and all that. So yeah, you just got to keep doing it, and believe it, and not let that negative voice steer you away.
I guess with me it's just like my mom always thought of the worst, and with me that's how I kind of like and that's how I kind of implemented her mindset into mine in my growing of old. I'm only 29. I'll be 30 in like 4 or 5 months, but like using what she did to me growing up, it kind of like put that in my brain. So like I can kind of be a little bit of a negative guy, like, oh, this is bad. We're all gonna get like, you know what I mean? Like anything could happen.
Oh, wow, me too. It's kind of the same. Every time when I was a kid, every time we would have a great time in the house, laughing loud out, laughing out loud. I was like, stop, something bad's gonna happen, because we were having too much fun, too much pleasure. It was like, no, something bad's gonna happen if it's too much, it's like, whoa, that's so weird. Or, I'd want to go, my friend was going somewhere, and it was an hour car drive, it was an hour drive. And she's like, no, I don't want you to go. I have a bad feeling. And it's like, what feeling? And nothing happened to my friend, but it was blocking all the time and stuff, and always seeing the negative that could happen, from something. And yeah, it was the same thing for me.
I have a funny story about driving. So it was one of my first times I was driving, and I wanted to go to karate by myself. So I drove the car, and she watched me leave, obviously. And then 5 minutes later, she sees cop cars, ambulance.
Oh,
She thought that I got into a bad accident. She called
yeah,
me 5 times, and I was a first time driver, so I'm not going to pick up my phone. She called
yeah.
the karate studio, frantic that I was in an accident. She was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine." I was like, "What's going on?" I saw all these cop cars and fire trucks, and I'm like, "No, it's fine. I got here safe, 5 minutes away."
And the thing is, I have a daughter, and I remember, wow, she was, I think, 2, and she wasn't good. She wasn't a good runner. She didn't run very well. She was starting, I mean. So, and one time it just hit me. She started running, and it wasn't a flat surface. So it was kind of tough, for her to keep her balance. I was like, no, don't, you're going to fall, and instantly she fell
Mm,
because I'm the father figure. I know better than, I'm like God, and if God tells you you're going to fall, you fall. So I programmed her brain and she fell. And it just hit me. It's like, oh my God, it's my fault. I told her she was going to fall. And for her, it was impossible for her not to fall because I'm her father and I know better. I know everything, you
yeah.
know. So I was like, oh my God, this is so powerful. I got to stop doing that. And then, she got up, started running out. I was like, you can do it, you can do it. And then, but she still, she managed to not fall and keep running. And it's like, oh, wow, this is powerful. So you got to be careful what you tell, yourself and what you tell other people, because sometimes they will believe what you say and they will make it happen. If every time your kid drives off with the car and you tell them, be careful, you might make an accident, you got to be careful. It's going to happen. You're programming it. That's what you're programming them to have an accident,
Well,
because at one point you keep repeating that and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I never had an accident. It's been, she's been telling me I'm going to have one for years. So boom, and then it happens. So we got to be very careful what we tell our brains.
oh, the mind, powerful
Oh,
thing
it's
that
so powerful.
it happened to my uncle like about a year ago. We were taking apart some like I don't even know like an air, not even an air mattress, like a box mattress with coils in it.
Ooh.
And the last time he did that, he got something in his eye, like a piece of metal. So I was doing the coils, and we weren't wearing goggles. A staple flew into his eye, and he said, I was just thinking about that like about an hour ago. He ripped it out, but he had to get eye surgery. Oh my God, I felt so bad because like
Oh,
he knew it was happening, and he knew like he was thinking that, and it just instantly happened, just randomly, and I felt so
yeah.
I did him.
Sometimes you program it and sometimes you just know it in advance and you don't act on it. It's like, oh, I knew this was going to happen. Darn it. Oh my God. I should have listened to that little voice. So it's weird. It's tough. And also, before you go to sleep, you got to be careful how you program your brain, because and it's funny because with my daughter, that's another thing I realize is that we practice in our sleep. We learn in our sleep, because I was teaching her to bike ride and I was doing that, on the street. Worst place to do that because they can, catch speed really fast. And we fell and I tripped over the bike over her, and it was terrible. So after that, I decided to do it on grass. That's the best place you can teach a kid to bike ride, is on grass. It's because when they fall, they don't hurt themselves and it slows them down. So they're not going to go full speed and get scared. So it forces them to keep the balance more. So they learn faster. And it's funny because every time she would get on the bike, she was like 10 times better than the time before. It's like, what's happening? She's bike riding in her sleep. It's so weird. Yeah, I mean, how can it happen that she goes from being, like that, and then the next time she's 10 times better? It's like, oh, this is so weird. So yes, and I kept telling her that, and it stayed, and she was like, I'm pretty sure I study in my sleep before an exam. I bet you do. Of course you do. If you're open to that, it happens. It's crazy how you can program that that thing up there.
I feel like we live in a simulation sometimes for some of the things that happen. You know what I mean? Like for example, Jelly Roll, he was saying that like he feels like that there's like an alien controlling him because like he like from him going to jail to being a big time like singer now, like he's like, I don't understand how that all happened. He was like, this is definitely a simulation that we're living in.
I guess, well, he's overnight he's become huge, so of course he's wondering, why did this happen? I mean, because, and also if he grew up thinking he didn't deserve nothing, it must be hard to, understand why everything is happening like that. And when you believed all your life, you were, it was going to be tough, and it was always going to be tough. And so it must be something, it must be really strange. It must be a strange feeling.
Well, I think the thing with me though, I had a lot of people that would doubt my decision of either being on the radio because they said it's not realistic, you're never going to do that, or you're never going to make it. And I guess with me, it's just like I want to prove people wrong. I want to prove everybody who doubted me wrong, and I have been doing that. I mean, I got in the radio at the age of 26, moved up 3 times within 6 months, then a year, then another year, and then now I'm back to where I'm moving up in the radio industry, and
Wow.
I just love proving the people wrong. Not because I'm petty; it's just because I'm showing them I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. That's pretty much
Yeah.
what I do.
Yeah. Do you know Howard Stern's story? I mean, when he started, he was like the worst
Yeah,
ever. Everybody was telling you have nothing to do in radio. I mean, what are you doing here? You're a joke, and he's now, he's self-proclaimed king of all media. But I mean, it's crazy, when you listen to the beginnings, anybody would have quit and said, "Hey, I'm really not cut for this," but he just hang in there because for him, that was the only plan. It was plan A, and he couldn't see himself doing anything else. So he made it work. He didn't
that's
quit.
that was my inspiration growing up. I mean, I saw the movie Private Parts, and that's what really got me into wanting to be not like him, but something as good as
Yeah.
him. That's why I started the podcast. And I guess like the first year of doing, I've been doing this for 9 years. The first year of doing the show, like my show, I started like acting like him, like saying the most outrageous things. And I thought like this isn't really going anywhere. Like I'm getting maybe like 30 views, and then like it really depends on what I talk about and the guests, because I do talk
Yeah.
about controversial stuff, and I interview
Yeah.
people as well. And like it really depends on like who I interview and what I say. That's where the views come in, and
Yeah.
that's something I found with like my niche of doing. And then I could always take that to radio, being like, "Hey, here's my demo for the podcast. Here's here's the people who I've interviewed. Here's what I talk
Mhm.
about, so on and so forth."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have any inspirations?
Or, well, we talked about him earlier, but I listened to growing up, I was saying we only had the screen, TV, movies, the music. We had some vinyls, cassettes, and all that, and then CDs, and didn't have much aside that. So uh, I listened to many genres of music, and a good song's a good song, a good message is a good message. And I think we without when we it all comes from somewhere, when you look, say someone from another world would come and listen to the music from its beginning to, he could be, or AI is probably capable of doing that, where it would tell you exactly where the influences come from, and we don't know it. We don't do it purposely. It's just there, and in our head, and we just grab here and there without knowing where we're grabbing stuff. But we're always reproducing something that we've heard, that we know. And like I was saying, I'm pretty sure, you know someone from outside would be able to listen to the music in a, not in chronological order, and be able to all put it back in order. You give everything, and they take a listen to it, analyze it, and they could put it back right in the right order, where everything, this comes from this comes from this, and they could like put it in order. And I guess I don't believe someone comes up with something entirely new. It's, I don't think that's possible. There's always a reference to something. And so I was inspired by all the music, growing up, today's music as well. When something resonates with me, of course, I will not consciously grab from it, but it just happens naturally. So, yeah.
Besides meeting Garth Brooks and the other people at the CMAs, did you meet anybody else?
Well, that night, Keith Urban was even closer, and I had my first big show. I opened for Keith, and then I had the great privilege of singing twice with him during his Ripcord World Tour. So I did say hi to to Keith and Nicole over there. I, living in Nashville suburbs, Franklin, Tennessee, we meet a bunch of stars. One time I was going to the movies and there was Brad Paisley opening the door for me. I said, whoa, this is kind of cool. And or well, my son plays baseball, and he's on Luke Bryan's son is on the same team. They go to the same school.
Oh wow.
So when I go to the games, he's sitting right next to me, so it's weird. It's really weird. And or I mean, I've been a Chris Young, he's always at the same spot, Midtown. I mean, if you want to meet him, it's very easy. I could tell you where to go. You're going to see him for sure. Or sometimes you will stumble upon a bunch of some artists just like that in the studio. I met Jelly Roll a couple times. My son used to go to his daughter's school. He changed school, but she was going at Page. Well, she still is going at Page, and so we talked about that. And he's really a sweet guy. He really is a sweet guy. I met Cody Johnson, bunch of the guys.
Wow. I've only met a few famous people in my entire career.
I mean, what's great is they're ordinary people. I guess that's why Jelly Roll doesn't understand what's happening, because he's just an ordinary guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just like you and me. It happens that he sings those songs that people relate to, his story, his persona, and all that. People connect with it, message. But at the end of the day, he's just like you and me, and that's what's surprising. Um, and it's funny because the artists that I've met that had the big head and big attitude and all, they never really got famous. I guess that's mainly because of what I just said. But yeah, they're all real people and ordinary people, just like you and me. And it's the same for me. I mean, we're all the same. I'm not any different.
Yeah, no, and I feel like artists who just have that ego, like you said, they're not going to get anywhere. And a lot of people will go on social media because we explained earlier how much of a powerful tool it is. You say one thing bad about, let's say, Jelly Roll, then the whole, internet's going to burst with like, oh, okay, don't go near him.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah. It's a
Go on.
no. Go ahead. I don't want to cut you.
No, I was going to say, like, and also talking about like a higher power. Do you believe in any ghosts or anything, or
Uh, I've had some weird experiences.
really?
Yeah, Halloween's coming up. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, sometimes I feel I didn't write the songs. I just found them. And there's got to be something that ties everything together. I mean, there's law we have laws, matter is there's laws guiding how this world universe works. It's under someone's authority, or it would be anarchy. So there's something out there that, and I don't know if it's pure logic, I don't know what it is, but there's something above us, that's bigger than us, that controls it, not controls it, but dictates how it's supposed to be. And yeah, it's kind of crazy. And I love science as well. So sometimes I read articles, and they talk about quantum physics, and that's kind of spooky. That you know, past, present doesn't really exist, but future, it's like it might, future might already have happened. It's just that that's so weird. It's so weird. Yeah. I do believe that we don't know everything. We
I
just know a little tiny portion of it.
want to time travel, to be honest. I want to see what's going to happen to me in like 20 years, but I'm afraid to as well. Like it,
Well, I don't think you can time travel, but I think deep inside of you, you already know. And it's weird because for me, a lot of times when I say, I'm never going to do this, it's because I already know I'm going to do it and I'm fighting it. I'm fighting it. It's just a way for me to, I don't accept it and I'm fighting it. I said so many times, I said, oh, I'm never going to be a waiter in a restaurant. Guess what? I was a waiter in a restaurant. I'm never going to be a sales rep on the road. I was a sales rep on the road. I'm never going to have kids. I have kids that I adore. Uh, I'm not an artist. I'm never going to be an artist. I'm not a singer. I'm never going to do this. I'm doing it. It's like I already knew it, and I was just scared and didn't want to face it. But I think we kind of know,
yeah,
already know. So it's weird. And sometimes, you will have a feeling, it's like, oh, I think this is not going to work out. And you just feel it. And something out of the blue happens that, oh, it doesn't work. Or for me, sometimes it's like, I don't know why, but I feel like we're gonna eat Popeyes tonight. And then it's like no, no, we're driving. It's like, no, no, no. And I don't say anything. And they're talking, where do we go to eat? Blah, blah, blah. And then we take an exit and like, oh, let's go this place. And we get there and it's closed. And it's
mm.
like, oh, no, we're not. Oh, we have to eat now. Let's not take another exit. Oh, let's go to Popeyes. And it's like, I knew it. It's so weird. This happens to me a lot.
The weird thing that happens to me, I'll be thinking of like a TV show, like a rerun that of an episode that I really that I enjoy, and
Yeah.
I'll go on whatever channel it's on, and it's that exact rerun I was thinking of 2 days ago. I'm like, what the hell? What is going on here?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That
it's a.
happens a lot. Yeah.
I think it's like what we were saying. Your mind is a powerful thing. You think of something and it happens.
Yeah. And for me, oh, sometimes it's boring because you'll watch a movie and they are just going, I mean, it starts and something happens, and I would say, oh, this is what's going to happen. And people are like, what are you talking about? No, this is what's going to happen. They're setting it up. It's clear that's what's going to happen. And it happens. And one time I was watching a movie with some friends, and I was able to predict everything in the movie. And like, you saw this movie before. I was like, no, I never saw it. I just know it. It was so weird. And when I was younger, I was more open to that. And at one point, I kind of blocked it because it was too intense. And people would come to me. He's like, hey, am I gonna be in a long-term relationship with my girlfriend? I was like, and I could tell, I was like, no, as soon as she's going to go, or as soon as your boyfriend's going to go to college, he's going to dump you because he's going to be, and it would happen, and I would have the reason why it didn't work and all that. And it was kind of freaking people out. So I just backed off.
That's how my wife is. She'll predict everything in the movie, but she also could read people. Like she'll be like, yeah, they're not going to last in this relationship, and then like 3, 4 years
Yeah.
later, not there. So
Yeah, that's crazy. Or the thing is, if someone, this happened to me a lot, where you meet someone in they're gonna backstab you. Even though they're the friendliest person, and everything, you're like, there's something wrong about this guy. And it happens all the time. At one point, they backstab you. It's like, I knew it. I knew it. It's so weird that you know a lot of stuff about people just by, you know, just being around them. It's weird.
so you can read people pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it helped a lot in sales.
Yeah, I can't read people a lot, but I can read certain like my wife has taught me reading in between the lines. So like for example, there was a text message that I was talking with some guy and I could tell he was pissed off at me because I was telling him, all right, this is what's gonna happen, this, that, and the third. And he was like, well, he was like, okay, well then do it then. And then I'm reading that, I was like, okay, he's pissed. Like so I can kind of read between the lines when it comes to people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's a good tool to have.
yeah,
And sometimes it's it's not a good thing because sometimes it's better when you don't know and you just go with the flow and enjoy life, and it's a way simpler than when you know too many things.
yeah. So I see you have your guitar out. Were you planning on singing or?
Oh no, I was just fooling around. I was waiting for you.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I don't. I've had people perform on Zoom before, but like, so it's like a hit or miss. Like, it's either like
Yeah,
really good or really bad, and then
yeah.
someone's unless you don't have the setup like Howard Stern, then kind of defeats the purpose. I'm like, yeah, that's true.
He has an amazing setup. The bands always sound awesome. I mean, I don't know the amount of money that's in that studio, but man, they make him sound really great. You won't ever get that in any other radio station. Impossible. I've done many tours, radio tours, and sometimes they don't even have reverb. It's dry. There's nothing. It's a dead room. It's it's the worst. Oh my God. And it doesn't give, I mean, when you have a dead room, you don't even have, like natural reverb and whatnot. It's like it's even the best singers sound bad in that kind of, situation. So yeah, I try to stay away from that as much as possible because it never gives, and yeah, it's never really good.
I would just love to have that setup. Like, I'm sure like it's probably possible in the next like 20, 30 years, maybe even less. But like, I would just love to have a setup and just have like my team send it over to like you, for example, perform the song, and then like go from there. I would just love that just to do that eventually in the future.
Yeah, well, in 30 years, it's going to be robots making music. So
Yeah, yeah. Don't remind me about that. We got AI coming, and it's scary.
AI podcasts.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that?
No, I never heard about that.
It's crazy. They feed the machine and it generates a podcast like a review, but it's not just one person, it's two-person interacting as if it was two human beings just talking about like a movie or something, a review, and they're talking about it and they're exchanging. It's it's mind-blowing. It's really is like, oh my God, where are we heading? It's scary. It's really scary. And now we just have AI and SAI is coming, super artificial intelligence. That's when it's superior than the human. And that's coming within 5 years max. We will have that. And we will kind of be obsolete after that.
I want to interview the creator of AI and like why would you do like because a lot of jobs like me and you we're going to be out of business. It's just going to be like one of those things where AI takes over. And I did read though that I think there's a bill that's being passed where you can't use AI for radio stations because they want to have a real feel for somebody being in the studio versus a robot.
Well, yeah, but when money is on the line, they change the laws all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. And what's crazy is that everybody can be replaced. It's not just, artists, and it's everybody. My wife, she's a CEO of a company, and there's a lot of positions, jobs that she will not, as soon as they retire, she will not rehire for that job. AI will do it. and pretty much a lot. At one point, they do their engineers say there's a fire. They go in, take pictures, look at it, and they find the source. Where did the fire come from? Was it criminal? Was it electrical? Was it an accident? Was what happened? And there was a case where they didn't have a clue, and they just they used AI, and AI found the cause in like 30 seconds. And
Wow.
they couldn't figure it out. And AI was like, oh, problem is from this, because it's crazy what they can, all the all the things they do, and it's pretty crazy. It's mind blowing. It's really mind blowing. I mean, they're saying that AI is not superior than humans in how they can think and create, but in terms of speed, they're way ahead of us. When they do something, they do it fast.
Did you ever do a chat GPT at all?
I work with Claude, which is
Okay.
another, yeah, and it's better in many ways. They have their pluses and minuses, but it's incredible. It's really impressive. I mean, I wouldn't use it to generate lyrics. Not, no, I wouldn't do that. But when you're looking for a word or an expression or something, you have to rhyme, with a certain sound. It can be very helpful. But no, I wouldn't have AI, write lyrics. It
Yeah.
has to come from me.
Well, also like if you're like writing your own lyrics and singing them, it's coming from the real you. It's coming from your experiences, your
Yeah.
life, so on and so forth. And AI can't really do that. And that's what I think with the whole radio thing. Like AI can't really have a personality. I mean, you
Oh
can,
yeah, it
you can
can.
program it,
Yeah.
but I mean, will it sound good? Probably not. You know?
I'm pretty sure it will sound really good if you ask AI, and say AI, you have an AI, and like, okay, analyze Howard Stern's career, and he listens to AI listens to everything, and then you're like, okay, now replicate that, and I'm pretty sure it would replicate everything
I
and
think
be able.
they did that though for a show, and then he was saying how it sucks. Like, you know,
Well, maybe they didn't do it right. Because you can have bad answers, coming from AI. You just got to know how to ask the right question sometimes. And it's funny because sometimes I was asking about, you know, uh, like a synonym to uh, being enslaved by something, and it didn't want to go there. It's like, oh, I cannot go there, and then it was giving reasons because it's about slavery and all that. And it didn't want to, give anything. So then I used another word, a synonym of that. And in the answers, there was enchained. And I'm like, oh, this is weird. So I replied, like, this is coming directly from slavery. I'm surprised you answered that. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And this should not have happened. You are right. And there's a direct link with slavery. And it's like, whoa, this is weird. You really feel like you're talking with someone. It's
yeah,
it's it's really powerful.
I did this bit on for a podcast a couple years ago called AI Dating Game, and it was basically an app on AI, and I just replicated. It was Trump's voice, Biden's voice, and Obama's voice, and I was the host. It was a shit show the way I did it, but I think that was probably one of my funniest, like one of the best episodes I've done. That was just a bit.
Yeah.
No, like we did. I talked on this AI dating thing. It was like an app, and these people were very like the AI was very like scary. Like, what do you think about? What's your favorite color? Or what do you like in a man? And then it was just really bizarre. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean it's crazy. And it's really powerful, and I don't know where we're heading with that, but I don't know. There's going to be a major. I feel like there's going to be some revolutions, huge revolutions down the road because of that. Because imagine if, for a lot of people, there's, yes, there's religion, but there's also you find a meaning in your life with what you do. And if you have robots doing everything, and what do you do? What's your
Yeah,
purpose? You know, what's my purpose if there's nothing I can do to help this world? Robots and AI is doing everything. I'm useless here.
yeah.
So I think there's gonna be a lot of depression we're gonna have to treat. Uh,
We'll see. We got a little bit time to go.
well, no, that's a problem. We don't have time. It's
No,
already there. It's
I,
just that,
let's just say I live in this world where I just think time's it's gonna come in time. We got a lot of time, but in reality, we really don't.
yeah.
That that's where the crazy psychopath in me comes in.
Yeah, I
But
can be like that too.
yeah. So do you have anything you want to promote before we get out of here?
Yeah, so I got we talked about it, my single More Than You Think, that you can find. It's about, my grandparents, my grandfather Leo, and I got this new one coming out November 8th on my socials. Oh, it's Robby Johnson Music, Robby Johnson Music. That's my handle for pretty much every social media. And in my bios, you will find links to the music. I have of course, if you're getting ready to work on your Christmas playlist, I have my song "Oh Santa Please." That sounds like a Christmas classic. Go take a listen, and yeah, you can find the links to pre-save. Also, that's what I wanted to say. The new one that's coming up, Road I'm On, and yeah, that's what I'm working on. Some new music, releasing every 6 to 8 weeks, and I'm looking forward to see if people connect and react, how they react to it.
Are some of your songs still on the radio? Because I know your song was on the XM 56, Sirius XM 56, The Highway, and a few others.
Yeah. I have well, I don't have any on I wish I had some on Sirius. But I do have my music plays on, secondary, tertiary radios. Major markets, it's more the major labels that control that. But in today's world, with the on-demand streaming, people listen to my music everywhere. So that's a good thing about technology and everything. Anybody who releases music, can reach people. And
Yeah,
there's no more, oh, you have to be signed to a major label, and you have to be a priority for the major label for them to, promote you to radio and have you out there. So it's no longer the case. Now people decide what they love, and it becomes viral, TikTok, then Spotify, Apple Music, and then radio stations are like, well, this song is exploding on streaming platforms. I guess my listener would love to hear it. Let's play it, and without any radio promotion. You look at Zach Bryan. He didn't really have radio behind him, and he's selling out stadiums. It's just the streaming. So the world is changing, and it's a good thing. That there are no, huge corporations that control who becomes a star and who becomes heard and shared and loved. It's really, it all comes down to the music now, which is great.
yeah. Well, thank you again for coming on, and it was a good chat with you. This will be out tomorrow at some point.
Awesome, interesting. We've touched many different subjects. That's cool. I wasn't expecting that, but I loved it. I loved it. Thanks, TJ. That was a lot of fun.
That's what I like to do when I have guests on. I talk about many different subjects, and it's pretty much an open mic. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't let it
Yeah,
hold back, you know?
awesome.
All right. Thanks again.
Thanks.
All right, that was the interview. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you smash your like and follow on Spotify, Google Podcasts, A3 Media on YouTube, and much more. I will be back in a couple days to talk about what's been going on in my life because there's been a lot of fun stuff. And yeah, I mean, yeah, let's leave it at that. All right, see you guys later, and bye.